Hi, welcome to How to Repair. This video is on a fridge freezer frost-free that is not cooling in the fridge compartment correctly. Your fridge may be either warm or running at room temperature, but the freezer is still working. Although the freezer is actually running at -17, it can reach far lower temperatures than this if running efficiently. The fan motor in the freezer blows air around the freezer and also to the fridge compartment. As you can see, the freezer is -17, but the fridge compartment is actually at room temperature. Both thermostats are set correctly, so there's no problem there, but there is no cold air blowing in through the ducts at the back. This is a good sign that the actual evaporator or matrix, or sometimes called a battery evaporator, could be clogged with ice. It may not have defrosted. Or you may have a problem with the fan motor not being efficient and able to blow air to the top fridge compartment. The other fault that may occur is the regulating valve in the fridge is not letting air into the fridge compartment. But I'm going to show you here. If you look closely through the grill, you can see heavy ice build up. Now sometimes on different makes of fridge freezer you can't see this. You will actually have to remove the back plate to actually inspect it. Now on this model, it's an AEG machine and it's a Santo. I'm going to remove the two side bars and then we'll remove the cover for the evaporator. While I'm doing this, I've done this diagram for you which will explain how the air flows over the battery or evaporator matrix, then past the fan motor, around the freezer and blows up to the air regulator at the top, which allows the air to come into the fridge, which is what keeps the fridge cold. Now if the evaporator or matrix is filled with ice, the air cannot flow through to the fridge. Or if the regulator valve is not working correctly, that would also stop it flowing to the fridge. The fan motor is what blows the air. This is also a common problem. But because we have so much ice building up, we are going to check the defrost heater first and also the NTC sensor, as this is one of the most common faults on fridge freezers. The actual evaporator cover, which covers the actual matrix itself, could be very heavy with ice, so make sure you support it as you bring it away. Some are fitted on the back and some are fitted on the top like this, but you can see the matrix is absolutely solid with ice. This is restricting the airflow going through to the fridge and also causing the freezer not to work efficiently. I advise you to let the fridge and freezer defrost naturally over the course of 24 hours. But I'm using a hairdryer to speed the process up. But if you do this, make sure you do not get close to the plastic as you will melt it. Now the next thing we need to do, now we've defrosted it, is to ascertain which wires are going through to the heater. But first we need to remove this cover. This cover is an insulation cover and has tape all the way around it. You need to carefully remove the tape, but do not do damage to the polystyrene. Once it's free, just remove it, and now we can see the whole heater plate, the matrix of the fridge freezer or evaporator or battery as I called it earlier, the fan motor which is at the back, but this is the pipe at the back that you need to protect. These two sensors are protection systems for the heater. But the first thing we've got to do is actually work out which wires go through to the NTC sensor, which you can see here, and which wires go through to the element. Now to remove the plastic or to free it up, the rubber lugs at the back need to be pushed backwards. They're very awkward to take out and very awkward to put back in. But I'm just going to hang this up because I've worked out the colours of the wires, and it's on the left hand plug, and it's the first two wires at the bottom. So we're going to do a continuity test on the element. At the website I have actually done videos on how elements work where you can get more detailed information, but basically we're doing a continuity test to see if the element has got a circuit or it is open circuit. If it is open circuit and there is no continuity, therefore the element has blown, or one of the sensors is open circuit. But this is showing open circuit, so I'm going to disconnect all the electrics, remove the front cover, and now this exposes the NTC sensor. We'll also do a test on the NTC sensor, and I will quickly explain how an NTC sensor works. At a set temperature it gives a certain resistance. Now we're at roughly 20 degrees and we've got a resistance of 2900. As I warm it up, the resistance is dropping. As it cools down, the resistance increases. This tells the printed circuit board what temperature the freezer compartment is at. And as it's cooled down, you can see the resistance rising again. This is actually the comparison chart for this actual model, but it can't be used for all fridge freezers. So you can see at room temperature 20 degrees, we should be showing somewhere around 2500 ohms. And as the temperatures change in the household, you will get a different resistance reading. But now we're going to test the element. I've disconnected the two sensors and the element itself is actually showing open circuit. There's a small amount of resistance on ohms, but not enough. On continuity it is actually open circuit, therefore the element is blown and we need to replace it. I will just quickly do a test on the new element to show you a comparison between the old and new, or the good and bad. Again, on continuity we have a reading. When ordering defrost heater elements, NTC sensors or fan motors, make sure that you're actually 100% sure before ordering parts. Some of the elements and motors and sensors are serial number dependent or PNC number dependent. So if you have any hesitation whatsoever, please contact us so we can do the work for you and find the correct part for your appliance. If you have now worked out that your defrost element is blown, or one of the sensors or fan motor, and you need to order the part, you are now able to put the machine back together, as it will work for a few days, blowing the correct temperature into the fridge, but you will need to replace the component, as it will frost up in a very short period of time. Now what I'm doing now is I'm actually tying off the matrix to support the weight as I remove the plastic panel at the bottom, which will allow me to change the defrost heater. It's very important to support the matrix as not to kink the pipe at the back or rupture the pipe where the refrigeration gas would leak out. The matrix and pipework is quite delicate, so do take your time. Now this plate is designed to push the heat upwards away from the plastic, and it needs to be unclipped from the actual element. There's 2 or 3 clips on this model and machine, but it will vary, and on some machines the plate is not even fitted, especially with the ones where the matrix is at the back, not hanging from the top. So now we've unclipped the heater at the bottom, we need to remove the cable ties which hold the wiring at the back to the heater, and there are about 3 or 4 metal clips which you need to keep. Do not cut these off, make sure you remove them properly as they need to be refitted. The reason why these are made of aluminium is because the element gets to high temperatures and would melt normal plastic cable ties, so you really need to keep hold of these to reuse them. So once we've got everything disconnected, we're able to prise the heater away from the matrix itself. It's very tight fitting and the edges are very sharp, so my hands are a little bit like leather after all these years working on appliances, but it's a good idea to wear some thin gloves. You can see me just prising the element out of the matrix here. and undoing the metal clips carefully as I go round. Now do make sure you take photographs of where the clips come from and how they go over the pipes. Also, it's a good idea to take pictures of all the wiring, even where the wiring runs down the left hand side, to make sure you get it clipped back in its correct location, as it is very important that all the wiring goes into its right place and not touch the element in any way, because the element gets hot and we don't want the element burning through wires. Although the element is controlled by sensors which cut the element in and cut the element out to maintain a consistent heat which melts the ice. Now when fitting the new one, I'm going to use some long cable ties just to hold it in place while we get it all connected up. Now we're going to have to undo the matrix on the left hand side, my support, because the wiring on this model needs to run down the left hand side and can't be disconnected from the element as it's already joined. So we're just going to slide this down the left hand side. While I'm doing this, if you didn't have a problem with the heater and you did have a problem with the fan motor, we have other videos at the website. Links are above and below in the description, and there's also links there to the full tutorial where I put some workshop manuals for you to help you on this model of fridge freezer. Just supporting the matrix again, and now we're going to connect the element to the matrix. Now I find putting cable ties over the tubes and between the fins, and then just lightly do them up, just hand tight, do not put any force on them, you just want to hold the element in place, and this will allow you to fit the metal clips back on. Now the metal clips that came off this are made of aluminium. If by any chance you have damaged it and you need to get a new clip, you can get one from most DIY shops, but make sure that it is the same metal. In other words, this matrix is made of aluminium. You would not want to put a different type of metal in, because you may cause problems with electrolysis, which is a basic corrosion of two different types of metal touching each other. It creates an electronic field, and electrolysis can take place, which will cause one metal to wear faster than the other. So I would just replace aluminium with aluminium, copper with copper, and so on. So once you've got the clips in, just lock them in. You can always straighten up the fins after. And as I said, if you've taken good photographs, you'll make sure that you get all these in the correct location, as it's quite a fiddly job. I'm just leaving the door switch sensor and the NTC sensor on the top. We'll assemble them in a minute. And I'm just going underneath now to clip the plate back onto the heater. Just bend the tabs over the heating element. Straightforward, but be careful of your hand, as those edges are very sharp. Now it's all in place, I'm going to remove the cable ties. Do not leave any in situ, as they are made of plastic, and plastic touching a heating element is not a good idea. Connect up the NTC sensor to exactly the same place it was before, and make sure the wiring goes down into its locking locations. This is to keep it away from the element so no damage can occur to the cables. And as I said earlier, I have put links in the description below on this video, and also in the information button on YouTube, so you can come through to the website for the full tutorial and workshop manuals and any updates that I have. on this model of machine. This video is specifically aimed at AEG, Zanussi and Electrolux, but the basics are the same on all fridge freezers. But I'll be doing some other changes on Hotpoints Indosets and Samsung and some of the LGs later in the week. Now that we've got it all supported up, you can put the cover back on. Be careful, as I said, it's made of polystyrene, and if you've had to remove some tape, do replace it, as the air from here is forced up by the fan motor to the fridge. So you want a good seal all the way around. Now, one of the hardest jobs of this whole element change is getting the rubber lugs back in that hold the wiring. It's a very tricky job, but take your time. You will curse me for showing you this video. It is very tricky to do. But first we're going to connect up all the wiring. On most fridge freezers they are just normal plugs that can only go in one way. Some other manufacturers use spade connectors, so you might have to take photographs of the wiring before you start. Now we've got all that tidy. The rubber lugs are in location. Drop the cover plate on, replace all the screws. And as I said, do remember to shop at How to Repair, as that's what keeps us going and able to make these videos for you. And now we'll put the sensors, my test instruments, back in, and we'll leave it run for 24 hours. But within a couple of hours you should see the fridge down at temperature. Right, we've got the appliance running, and after a couple of hours we've got +4 degrees in the fridge and -20 already in the freezer. And I think it's a well-deserved time for a beer. And remember, there's links above where you can donate to the website to buy us and all the staff a beer. Thanks very much indeed for watching this video. I hope it helped you. And remember, at the website you'll find loads of different tutorials on washing machine repair, tumble dryer, dishwashers, ovens, cookers, hobs and extractors. And remember to always use your model number in finding your part, and if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to contact us. Thanks again for watching.